Hey, what is going on, Los Angeles? It's J. T. And today is Wednesday, October 22nd, 2025. And on this installment of JT the LA Storyteller podcast, yours truly is actually taking a moment away from the main course, so to speak, to shout out none other than Daniel Naroditsky, who just a few days ago, at the tender age of 29 years old, suddenly passed away, according to a statement from his family and the larger chess community. He was just 29 and on the verge of turning 30 years old as early as this upcoming November 9th. And yet, from out of the blue, we all had to process the news that he was no longer with us. And so I came home earlier this week from work and came across the news just as I was checking in with my evening browsing. And on seeing that the news was in fact true or verifiable, I, of course, couldn't help but mourn, along with what I know are countless people out there. Daniel essentially became a full-time streamer back in 2019, just before the onset of the pandemic, thus positioning him to become a foremost figure, a leading figure in getting chess to millions of people out there, in advancing chess.com especially, and in casting a light for this incredible game for people to see for generations to come. And so, naturally, if you follow chess at all, if you follow chess news at all, you were very much familiar with Danya, especially because he went on to become one of the game's best, if not the best, commentator. And that's not an understatement in even the slightest. Listening to his commentary was just an absolute pleasure, and I can't imagine what his colleagues are going through now as they reflect on the fact that they must retain just the memories of working with such an exceptional, such a gifted, such a kind, sympathetic man that Daniel was. And so I know that this is one of many tributes publishing for Danya at this very minute right now. Because of that, my hope in taking a minute from the main course, so to speak, is really to note that it's an incredible irony to think about how, well, even as a creator and competitor such as Danya was, even though they had all this name recognition everywhere they might go, at the end of the day, Daniel, like any one of the rest of us, those fans out there, those other creators out there, he was just as human. Not an ounce less and not an ounce more. And I say this because at this point, there is all sorts of commentary as to just what led up to this tragic and unexpected passing. And there's even a lot of anger and frustration out there because of how the last year of Danya's life in particular unfolded as the game of chess entered a new era in this whole engine or machine based economy that we're all experiencing a shift with over the course of our time out here, over the course of the 21st century at that. And I note this because I know that Danya, every time he showed up to the chessboard and every time he showed up to commentate and every time he showed up to put together another one of his streams, I know that his foremost interest was advancing the game of chess for his and his friends, for his and his colleagues, for everyone who just might learn to play chess tomorrow and then some. But the fact of the matter is also that he was a part of this evolution of the game, especially since the pandemic, at a critical juncture for the chess community, which is kind of a microcosm of the larger global community out there, specifically when it comes to this line between who we are as human beings and what our content is, what our data is, and how our data is being used and even misused out there. And so I say this because in the final year of Danya's life, despite his warmth and positivity, despite his sympathy for others and kindness towards all of those he competed with, there were just a handful of people who were not only not satisfied with his contributions, but who were resentful, if not envious, if not downright antagonistic, down to a T to Danya and his legacy. And as someone who loves chess personally, as someone who plays online pretty much daily, and as a content creator, not for chess, but for the rest of my life in Los Angeles and for my people out here, I can tell you this. What I have observed so far in terms of what folks have said about Danya is simply that we need a lot more of Danya and his legacy in the picture. And what I mean by that is that though there is a lot of room for discussion over just what went wrong for this young 29-year-old content creator's career over the course of the last year especially, though there's definitely a lot of room to really get into that, we also need to create space in which we think about what he'd want his legacy to actually be. And I know for a fact, even if I never met Daniel Naroditsky or got to shake his hand, I know for a fact, as a fellow creator, as a fellow educator, as a fellow human being, his fellow human being, that he would love nothing more than to have his legacy continue to advance the game of chess. But the fact of the matter is that right now, chess, as so many other things around us, is in flux. It's in a make or break moment. And it's not necessarily because of any one chess player themselves. Chess is bigger than any one chess player. But it's because this system that we are communicating through, this system that we are connecting through, because it is human made, it possesses human flaws. And because we respond to flawed technology in our own flawed reactions or through our own flawed interpretations, the fact of the matter is that we have to pause for a second here and really think about what we want going forward as a chess community. And I know that Danya would want us once again to advance, to get past our differences, to work together, to unite to the best of our ability out there, and to really set down a better path for those who come next, for the next generation of chess players out there, for the next generation of chess educators out there, for the next generation of the best, and then some. And so I think that this needs to be a guiding light for the chess community from the top down. I think that whether it's Magnus Carlsen or Levy Roman or Hikaru, or whether it's FIDE, or whether it's the St. Louis Chess Club and Fabiano Caruana, I think that this right here, this young man's tragic passing at the tender age of 29 years old, this needs to be a moment for us to come together with our peers and with those who we do not call friends, but with those who we have some serious differences with. We need to come together in this moment right now, not only for Danya, though that is the guiding light here, though he is the guiding light here, but also for the future of the game and for the future of the chess community, period. Because if a creator such as Danya can contribute as much as he did to the game and yet still feel overwhelmed and bombarded by antagonism out there, by the toxicity of the internet out there, by the endlessness of the banter, then who else is at risk too? I watched this stream in which Grandmaster Hikaru Nakamura said, "Hey, I am strong as rock. My mental fortitude is like no others. I'm good because I've found a way through. And so no matter how much toxicity comes my way, I manage and I move on." And that's powerful. And I'm happy that Grandmaster Nakamura could say that. But I would love for him and for Magnus Carlsen and for Levy Roman and for Hans Niemann, I'd love for each generation that is still out there right now making waves and providing influence to note that, you know what, this moment right here, this is where we must make a change, where change is necessary. Because you all have a lot of fans out there, a lot of people in your corners who don't have the mental fortitude that you may. And this matters right now, in this moment when the world is just on the cusp of losing its mind, whenever it comes to these algorithms in particular. The world is just on the verge of completely losing control to this algorithm, to this connectivity or over this connectivity. Because as connected as we have become, we are still profoundly in need of something more humane for one another, We're profoundly in need of it. And so this is something that I will argue for as long as I am able to breathe air and speak this language to you. Because this is it. It doesn't get any more difficult than the fact that we have to lose young, creative people, young educators with their whole lives still ahead of them, to our very own inability to manage through these algorithms, or to have these algorithms or this system in some form of control. Danya, as a content creator, though he grew up in the Bay Area and graduated from Stanford University, as you can easily see for yourself, he made his way out to North Carolina in about 2019 to stream and provide education and commentary for chess over that way. And so he achieved a lot between then and this final year of his life. He achieved a lot for the game. And yet somehow he still ended up in isolation. And it took a friend checking in and making their way through the door to find out just what had happened and why Danya wasn't responding to his text messages. And so if someone like that, who is known by hundreds of thousands, if not more people all over the world who watch his content, if someone like that can still end up in isolation and feel left behind and see their mental health and their physical well-being deteriorate, then we need to reassess something about the way that we are doing this right here. It's bigger than chess then, right? It's not just about chess. It's about creating for the community and finding a way to manage through the reverberations of that. Because not everyone out there is a part of our community, and because not everyone out there is going to reply with our best interest in mind or in good faith, and because not everyone out there is going to care whether or not this breaks us down. We need literacy for this out there. We need to develop tools by which to navigate through this kind of digital landscape, this new digital era on the verge of merging somehow with so-called artificial intelligence, or with what has been construed as that by these billion-dollar investment companies. And we need to do that because we cannot afford to lose a single other person to our inability to manage through this properly, or to our inability to see just what is going on here, not only for people such as Danya, but for those who are not major public figures such as he was, for those who are out there on their own and who don't know just where this ends, because it is just too much. We need to make a statement as a chess community and as a community online, period, that we have a responsibility at this point to do better for Danya, for everyone like Danya, and for everyone unlike him too. If we don't do that, then this unacceptable news, this heartbreaking development, it becomes normalized. And I live in Los Angeles in the United States. We have normalized a lot of extremely unhealthy things out here. And therefore, my note to all those who watched Danya's streams and to all those who mourn for him now is about how we get better and why we need to do better, why it is a make or break moment and not just about chess. As much as we love the game, it is about who we are going forward as human beings across these lines of communication for the remainder of our time out here, as far as we can tell. That's what it's about. And that's what I hope that we can work towards. And we compete out there when it comes to chess as people of different languages, people of different origins. But the fact of the matter is, all that is a lot of noise. Every single one of us is a human being when it comes to this game and more. And as such, we need to create some serious guidelines going forward as to what is appropriate and what's inappropriate, how to spot the difference, and how to do so in time, even if we can't be perfect about just that. Even if it takes work and making more mistakes and having to try and try again. It's worth it. It's worth it for Danya and for those after Danya and for the rest of the community that we make up out here. It's worth it. So I'm hopeful that this message will get across to the right ears so that slowly but surely we can do better and encourage more people to play this game and to educate others about this game and to thrive, not only as competitors, but as teachers, as advocates for their community, as world citizens. Because I know that that's what I love about chess. And I know I cannot be alone in that. In fact, I feel that there are more of us who want the game simply to better the lot of us rather than not.